Umpires will be out very shortly, I'm sure, for this critical afternoon session. England on 95 for 6, with Flintoff on 17, Geraint Jones on 4, and I think a very nervous England lower order getting their pads on. It's normally fans who have photographs taken with actors, not actors have their photographs taken. It's the other way around this, but Blowers is posing there with Nigel Havers. You haven't quite got the permatan there, Blowers. I think you ought to be working on that. You look rather white in the middle. But that was an excellent interview. Well done indeed. And Jim's taking it. This is for your ABC website, is it, Jim? I'm sure all these photographs will be posted up there. Any Australian listeners I know will be surfing that. Going to move on because I can't really talk like this for too much longer. It's talking absolute gibberish. Mark Silver coming in a minute. The umpires are on their way. That's good news. Billy Bowden and Rudy Kurtzen making their way out to the middle. And any moment now, the Australian fielders will be rushing out to join them. Shane Warne, I'm sure, licking his fingers, trying to add to the wickets that he's taken this morning. Has that been taken? It has. Phew. There we go. Talking absolute nonsense, looking the other direction. That's what this job's all about. Usually looking in the towards the cricket.
Fashion photography where they put a cloak over their head and they disappear behind a box.
Absolutely. Anyway, what have we got? We have got the umpires coming out. They were for reals. I wasn't just making it up. 95 for 6 with Flintoff on 17 and Geraint Jones on 4. And this morning Trescothick was out for 21, Vaughan for 1, Hoggard for 1, Bell for 21 and Peterson for 20. I think looking at replays and so on, I think we can definitely judge that Peterson might have been unlucky there. I think it hit just about everything but the bat and the glove, Mike Selby, that one. Bell, I think, got a little outside edge.
I was trying to work out whether Snicko without the sound on was trying to tell us that he hit it or he didn't hit it. If he did hit it, it was the faintest of touches, because there was hardly a ripple on there, if indeed that's what it was. But Peterson, it seemed to hit all sorts of things except for the right ones. Having said that, of course, Australia will say, well, you got away with one first up, mate, so yes. And I'm sure he would take that view too. I think he's probably quite philosophical about it, isn't he?
Yep, swings and roundabouts, I think. The Australians come out now with a match for the taking, really, with this lead. Only 194, but another 100 runs would make it interesting.
I don't think there's a fag paper between them at the moment. It's going to be a real tester in the fourth innings. I mean, part of me says, England can they might think, wow, we've got a real good chance now. We've got enough to bowl it. And part of me says it's got 9 wickets written all over it. It's one of those that somebody is going to play the one innings that this match has lacked so far, the definitive innings, if you like.
Well, I wonder if that might be Andrew Flintoff. He's walking out with Geraint Jones, rather like little and large, as Flintoff comes down to our end. He's at the non-strikers end. Geraint Jones heads off to the City end. And who's going to bowl from this end? Looks like Brett Lee is going to bowl the first over after the interval. Lead again, 194. We're not even halfway through the match yet. Starting the afternoon session of the third day, in case you're wondering where we are in this game. And at one stage today, when Hoggard was out, it was 31 for 4. It suddenly looked horribly as if the game could have ended today. I think that's unlikely now, so people who are holding tickets for tomorrow can breathe a sigh of relief. But I think probably if you're a betting man, you'd say that the game is likely to end tomorrow.
I think one of the things we should say is that because the game is played at such pace now, and you're right, we're not in terms of time allocated halfway through the match yet. That means that the pitch itself is only not halfway through, and therefore we talk about it doing all sorts of things in the fourth innings, but actually when we say that, we really mean on the fifth day. This is only the third day, so any variations in bounce or even real turn, they're not going to be that huge yet.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's why Bill's statistics about the fourth innings, as he always points out to me when I dust these ones down, can be erroneous, can't they, Bill? You never quite know when that fourth innings is being played or under what conditions and that sort of thing.
It's one of the reasons why the Australians have been so successful, is that they've played the game at such a pace that they've taken that last day pitch out of the equation. They back their bowlers on a good pitch against anybody else's on a good pitch, but that a variable bounce last day pitch is the great equaliser, so they make sure that they don't get to the last day.
Yeah, very good point. So Brett Lee had a wonderful morning. He bowled fast, he bowled well, he bowled with hostility, and he took 3 wickets. And now he'll be looking to add to that. 95 for 6. England 194 ahead. They have 4 wickets in hand. What can they add this afternoon to try and set something That will bring them back into this series. Here's the first ball of the afternoon. Lee runs away and bowls to Geraint Jones. A poor loosener this, which is well stopped actually by Gilchrist there, diving down the leg side. There was no real pace behind it. It threatened to bounce for the second time just in front of him. And Lee stretches and bends and warms himself up. Although I'd have thought that he'd been doing a fair amount of that in the dressing room before he came out, actually. But it's never quite the same thing when you've got the ball in your hand and you're running into bowl and the batsman standing there at the other end. 95 for 6. Casper hasn't bowled today, has he, Bill? You're well spotted. He's kept a very low profile. And now we have Lee running away and bowling to Jones, who gets squared up here, barely getting out of his crease as he plays that up to extra cover. And there's no run. There are 2 slips. Gully is deep, saving the single. And there's a man on the point boundary out there on the offside, with people pouring into the ground behind him, into their seats there. Really don't want to miss anything. There's an extra cover and a mid-off, and then on the leg side, Kastrovic, who, as we were saying, has only bowled 1 over in this innings, and he hasn't bowled today. He's loosening up there, looking rather optimistic. There's Langer down there, arms folded at deep backward square leg. Again, with people rushing into their seats. And the Hollies stand behind him. And Gillespie, with a sun hat perched on top of his head, is at fine leg. Now Jones is fiddling around with something. He's not happy with his gloves. That gives Lee a bit more of an opportunity to loosen up, doing some toe touching, that sort of thing. Jones raises a hand of apology, saying, "I'm now ready." And Lee is on his way again. This smooth approach to the crease is there. He bowls, and Jones opens the face of the bat and runs that down to third man for 4. Well, that's a good start. It was a controlled stroke. There's no one down there. Ponting might reassess that. And England's lead goes to 198. They are 99 for 6. And so that's an area that Ponting won't want to hemorrhage runs.
Absolutely. In fact, he's sending a man down there now. It makes you wonder why he didn't do that first ball. So many runs come down there, and runs gold dust, aren't they, in the context of this match?
Jones, a player very much, you might expect the ball to go down to third man as well, opening the face of the bat. He's very strong round there. In goes Lee, and he bowls to him. He's forward now, pushing up to extra cover, because that's where the gap is now. And the throw from Katic hits Jones, and very sportingly, even though each run you feel is absolutely crucial in this game, although it wasn't Geraint Jones's fault that the throw from Katic hit him or his bat and rolled away into a large open space. They didn't take a second, and we often talk about sportsmanship these days, appealing for catches that aren't out and that sort of thing, but it's funny how something like that actually is not the batsman's fault at all. He'd be perfectly entitled to take a second run, but it just isn't done. 100 comes up, 100 for 6.
Yeah, so some of the little rituals of the game are very hard to explain to people. It's okay to cheat by standing there when you've nicked it, but it's not okay to run out somebody backing up, which is perfectly within the law.
Indeed, or just to take one run that's legitimately yours, but you can appeal when you know someone isn't out. Then goes Lee as a bouncer. Flintoff goes back. He's got 3 men out there waiting on the leg side boundary for the hook, so he very wisely decided not to do it, but he looked a little ungainly there as he leapt up with both feet off the ground as he prodded that down into the offside. He takes a single, so the lead is now 200. And now we start to enter interesting territory, really.
He's going to try and let Andy Flintoff have a few short ones just to see how this shoulder's reacting too. The left shoulder, he appeared to do something too before. We're not quite certain what he did, but
101 for 6. In goes Lee, and he's bowling. Oh, one that flies, and Jones is out. Oh, that's the second good ball he's had in the game. He could do nothing about that. It flew from a length. It took his glove, and he's been caught at second slip. And there was nothing at all Geraint Jones could do about that. And while England will be devastated to have lost a wicket so early, there will be 1 or 2 eyebrows raised there in the dressing room saying, well, look at that, look what that did. Because it wasn't particularly hostile. Lee's still warming up, as we've described in this over, but that flew from nowhere. And well, Jones was unlucky, that's all you can say. 101 for 7.
Well, you're quite right. You temper the disappointment of the dismissal there with the knowledge that flew from a length at great pace, and You know, the Stephen Harmison, who was used sparingly by Michael Vaughan in the first innings, you get the feeling that he thinks he's his trump card for the second innings. If that's the sort of variable bounce, you know, you bowl straight, you bowl fast, and you wait for the variations. And that was a brute of a ball. No disgrace to Geraint Jones for getting out to that sort of delivery.
Nothing he could do.
That was horrible.
So the lead exactly 200 as Ashley Giles walks out to bat. Little punch to the gloves there for Flintoff, who's come down to meet him. And of course now we start to wonder how Flintoff might play in these circumstances, with the lower order starting to gather around him. There's only Giles and the two seamers to come, Harmison and Jones. What does he do? Does he have a go at Warne, who will be pacing in from that far end? Or
well, I think he relies on Ashley to hang around. Ashley's you've seen as a capable latish order batsman. He's very capable of hanging around for an hour. I think when another wicket falls and Fred's still in there, then I think he might have to take a view.
Well, Flintoff will be on strike. And it is Warne who's going to bowl from the City end. He's bowled there all day. He started with 1 for none overnight, and he's now taken 3 for 43. So I think there's 2 wickets today, and of course we'd earmarked him as being the big threat this morning, and Brett Lee comes in and takes 4 wickets. So it just shows it's a funny old game, as they say.
Well, that's also encouraging for England, because they say it's not Shane Warne who's getting the wickets, because we haven't got Shane Warne, of course.
So Giles is at the non-striker's end. It's Flintoff on strikers, and a big burly chap who looked rather like Giles for a minute. And Flintoff kicks away that first ball from Warne, who's pitched outside the leg stump. Interesting field this, with a wide slip, his gully really, I suppose, and a point fieldsman just in front of square, crouching there with the helmet on. Just a couple of yards away from the bat, in comes Warne and bowls to Flintoff. Catchit shouts Warne, and Katic comes running across there to pick the ball up. What have you found, Bill?
Brett Lee's achieved his best analysis against England, previously 3 for 47.
Well, and still with 3 wickets to fall. He'll have his eye on 5 here, I think.
He's got 149.
Warne again comes striding in and bowls, and Flintoff gets that away into the leg side. Giles says yes. He sets off a little bit slow there to respond, I thought Flintoff was, but they run through for a leg bye. Every run absolutely crucial. 102 for 7. The lead is 201. Yes, Lee's taken 4 for 38 in this innings.
Well, properly, hasn't he? He's by and large, he's found the right length to bowl. Always had to be the early stages of the match a little bit fuller, slow pitch.
So what do we have for Giles? We have 3 men around the bat. There's a man catching there on the leg side as well. And in case he sweeps, there's a fielder at short, very fine leg. That's the left-handed Clark. Here's Warne, a quicker ball, which Giles comes forward to, plays easily enough back to the bowler. And there's no run. 102 for 7. England having been 25 for 1 at the start of play this morning. So Australia's day so far. In comes Warne over the wicket, and Giles comes forward to that, plays it back to him. More than just a defensive push, that he put a little more into it. But, Warne with his spiky hair rubs the ball hard, and Giles settles down again. Look at Ponting chewing away there, chewing gum. Just he's staring at Giles from no more than 3 yards away there, looking straight into his eyes. Chew, chew, chew. In comes Warne, and he bowls to Giles. He's forward, and that comes off the pad. Katic picks the ball up there at short leg. 102 for 7. So the lead 201, and Giles and Flintoff have a chat. Flintoff tapping away there busily at the pitch. Crucial partnership with Harmison and Jones to come.
Tony Greig used to stand in at Silly Point to Derek Underwood, much closer in fact than Hayden standing there, but doing much the same thing. Pre-helmets, of course, remember, and he's standing really close, and you could hear him. Never he was saying anything. You could hear him chewing because he made a very, very loud chewing noise. And he used to hang his right hand under the batsman's nose virtually and just wave it around very slightly, just move it around a little
That's
bit.
rather naughty.
Oh yeah,
Just catching his eye.
yeah.
So 3 men are out. In fact, they're going to bring one in. I think that's probably wise. They'd rather Flintoff, I think, went for the hook shot. At least they take their chances with 2 men out there in the deep rather than simply bailing out and not bothering when there are 3 men. So there's a long leg and a deep square leg. Gillespie and Langer. And now a mid-wicket, a mid-on. There is going to be a 3rd man. There's no one at mid-off. That's interesting. In goes Lee and bowls, and that's sliced away through the slips for 4. 3rd man can't stop it. And Flintoff, I think they're eyeing up this huge gap at mid-off. It's a curious field, this. It suggests that Lee isn't going to pitch anything up at all, and yet he pitched the first ball up.
Well, they must be wondering how his shoulder's going to react. He had this problem before lunch. Is he going to be able to go full through his shots? By the look of that one, the answer is no, because that didn't have the huge flourish at the end, did it? No, he'll probably bounce him and see whether he's actually capable of pulling.
Lee again with a mid-off this time, bowls, and Flintoff is forward, stroking that away to Hayden, who's fielding at point. And there's no run, and Flintoff certainly favouring his right hand, it seems. He's walking round there. For that, I mean, he's opting to use his right hand, otherwise carrying his bat in it more than his left. And he's got his bat over his shoulder, like someone out to do the gardening. And there's now a deep point. They've again setting a rather curious field, a deep point, a deep square leg, but still a mid-off and mid-on. And in goes Lee, and he bowls to him on the off stump, and that kept a little bit low. Flintoff shuffles forward, plays it off the bottom of the bat.
He's moved one of the leg side fielders over, and then moved the deep long leg round almost to square now. There's a big gap between mid-on and deep square leg on the leg side. So if there is anything short, you bet your life he's got that gap in mind.
Just one slip. Kastrovic there at mid-on walks in as Lee goes rushing up and bowls to Flintoff on the off stump. And again, Flintoff with plenty of time goes back and plays us towards extra cover. The crowd indulging in a Mexican wave, and it's an unusual one, and it's anti-clockwise. Usually Mexican waves are clockwise affairs. I'm a little bemused really as to why they decided that they want to have a Mexican wave, because the cricket is so tense, critical really. Anyway, round it goes, round to the left-hand side. I think it's already billed here. In goes Lee, and he bowls to Flintoff, who drives it off the inside edge, nearly bowls him, and goes for 4. You're right about the shoulder. That again didn't look right, did it?
No, he pulled out of the shot, didn't he, almost? So you'd see the bat will come down crooked if his shoulder won't allow his elbow up high. Of course, we wonder how that's going to affect his bowling.
Well, indeed.
Because I'm wondering, in fact, in the light of what's happening out there at the moment, whether Michael Vaughan isn't even thinking about opening the bowling with Andy Flintoff. Have the 2 bash-it bowlers running in.
Well, he's 26 not out. In goes Lee, and he bowls on the off stump. He's run away down into the gully. There's a fielder there, and there's no run. So the over comes to an end. There's 2 boundaries having been taken from it. I was going to say struck from it, but they weren't really. One went through the slips, and the other one, a fluky one off the inside edge, through fine leg. So bad luck there for Lee. He's bowled well today. 110 for 7, so the lead 209. Flintoff is on 26. Giles yet to score. If you are just joining us, Trescothick was the first out today for 21. He was followed by Vaughan, who was out second ball for 1. Hoggard hung around for 27 balls before being caught low down in the gully for 1. Bell made 21 from 43 balls. Peterson 20 from 35. And Geraint Jones was out for 9. Vaughan comes striding in and bowls to Giles. He clips that away as against the spin. But he played it competently enough up to mid-on. It's picked up by Kastrovic. Got to be slightly careful there. They don't want to go closing the face of the bat when Vaughan is making the ball spin towards you out of the rough. You get a leading edge, and they'll probably present Vaughan with a catch. 110 for 7. Up comes Warne again. He's there, he bowls, and Giles is forward, coming off bat and pad. Ponting still chewing, picks the ball up and throws it back to the bowler. 110 for 7. The lead is 209. As Bill pointed out earlier on, the highest score to win batting fourth here is 211. Here's Warne with a huge grunt, and that's pushed away into the gully region. There's no run. That was the Alex Tudor 99 not out game, I think, Bill, wasn't it? And England beat New Zealand here by 7 wickets in 1999. 110 for 7. Here's Warne tossing it up. Giles forward. A slower ball from Warne, held back, a little more loop, more time to grip, more time to spin. But Giles again managed to negotiate it safely. Now Ponting spotted something, is coming up, still chewing. Amazing he can actually say anything. He's chewing his gum so ferociously. But whatever it was, whatever message he was delivering was brief. He's back in position again already. 110 for 7. The sun comes out as Warne moves in and bowls down the leg side. It's flicked away by Giles, and they do take the single there. Flintoff calling him through. Again, carrying that bat very much in his right hand, with his left arm hanging rather limply by his side. 111 for 7. It's Nelson, but we don't mention it around here, as supposedly it's unlucky for the English players anyway. 111 for 7. We're virtually there for this highest score. In fact, that's what it would need to be scored, wouldn't it, Bill, to win this game now. In comes Warne, and Giles forward, plays up to mid-off, and there's no run. So 111 for 7. We now know that for Australia to win this game, they will have to make the highest score ever made here batting fourth to win a game. It doesn't mean to say that it's the highest fourth innings of all time. That's 277, which India made here in 1967. But the highest score to win is now what England have set Australia batting fourth. Not sure they'll be aware of that, or indeed any of the Australians will be aware of it, or care necessarily. But as you keep saying, it's a third-day pitch.
Yes, the game changed. People's perception of what is challengeable now has changed as well. I wonder when England started the day whether they had in their own mind a minimum target, or whether, to say, oh, we'll get as many as we can, that's a little bit simplistic, isn't it? I wonder if they actually set out saying, right, this is the minimum that we need, let's go about getting that and then take it from there. Maybe a lead of 250, say, would be their minimum.
I think the whole business of planning and working things out has changed since you and I were lumbering in, hasn't it? Whether they do actually set down now all these army of coaches that they have. I think we spotted 11 track-suited individuals here on the day before the match, hovering around the nets and that sort of thing, including, of course, the psychotherapist Steve Bull, who was there. 11 people from Team England, as opposed to those who are actually playing in the game. So there's a number of people around. So the lead is 210. It's taken interminable time here for Lee to start this over, but he's on his way now, and he runs in and bowls to Giles. It's a Yorker which is squeezed away into the gully, where it's picked up by Hayden, who takes a long look at the ball. He throws it to Warne. Again, starts rubbing and polishing and that sort of thing. Giles and Flintoff have a discussion. Flintoff coming all the way down the pitch to pass on something to Giles.
School seems to think it's Flintoff facing for some reason.
Yes, they do. I wonder why. It's 111 for 7. The lead is 210. And the sun tries to come out. And the two slips in the gully brace themselves. Down they go. Lee's on the way. He's rushing up. He bowls on the off stump. Giles goes back, prods it into the offside for a single. Quickly calls yes, that was a good run. And it's amazing what you can pick up, actually, if you just play like that for a little while. The lead 211. It's 112 for 7. What a morning again. It's been a remarkable test match. And what twists and turns still lie ahead. Now for Flintoff, with only one slip, there's a third man, a deep point, 3 saving a single in the offside, 2 men out in the leg side. In goes Lee, he bowls to him, it's turned away. They want 2 here, I think, out towards deep mid-wicket. They should get it too. It's a long run for Langer. who comes in from the boundary. 2 runs are taken. 114 for 7, so England lead by 213. And they can simply pick these runs off. 1 here, 2 there. Play carefully at the moment. Then of course he starts to see the Australians feel a little bit of the tension, and they start to change their field, maybe a bowling change here or there. In goes Lee, and Flintoff feels for this outside, the off stump. That wasn't a very good shot. Ball whistled past the outside edge, and Lee there raised an arm. He was ready for an appeal. It's happily for Flintoff. The ball missed the bat, not by very much. It wasn't a good shot. His feet didn't move at all.
Quite sure what was in his mind there. It was only a half a shot, wasn't it? A square prod, really. There's a man out on the fence, so it was only brought in the 1 run.
Has he got this short ball in his mind, do you think?
I think he's waiting for it. He'll certainly be looking for it, won't he? They've moved the man over to the leg side again from there. So there's now 4 on the leg.
In goes Lee. He bowls to Flintoff. He drives that, timing that, and I think that was a shoulder problem one.
That hurt him, didn't it?
It's just not coming through properly.
I mean, that in the first innings would have been blasted through wideish mid-off, wouldn't it? It was right in the slot for him.
This is a concern. He closed the face of the bat. He grimaced as he played the shot. And
if he can't bowl, that's a big blow for England, you know.
Yeah. There's no way of our knowing at the moment whether he'll be fit to bowl or not. He has this shoulder problem. Goes Lee, and he aborts that one, as he'll go back and try again. He's got something in his eye. That's what that's all about. 114 for 7. Blows dirigible is still up there. Light blue with white fins, hanging over the ground at the far end. It's going to take some time, I think, because Lee now is having some attention for his eyes. So I think it's time I bring in Henry Blofeld after a word from you, Mike.
This has been a pretty good comeback by Brett Lee, hasn't it, after the first innings? Absolutely plastered around the ground in the first innings. Probably never taken such a beating in a test match, and he's come back with some match-winning bowling here.
Well, it's Lee into Flintoff. He's galloping up to the wicket like a racehorse. He bowls and Flintoff drives. I thought for a moment when he played that stroke it was going to go thundering through to the boundary. It didn't. It ended up mid-off, so there was no run there. It's the end of the over. 114 for 7. 2 to Giles, 28 to Flintoff, and England's lead now has stretched to 213.
Thought you might like a microphone, Henry.
Did I not have one?
It might be handy.
It was pointing at the wrong. Dear.
Pointing at the sky. Yes.
It's always a help, isn't it?
Yes. Andy Flintoff's in some trouble out there, you know. He really is. He's struggling with that shoulder. We're not quite clear what he did, whether he was self-inflicted with his bat as he followed through, or whether he twinged a nerve up, he did something to it before lunch, and it's really restricting the way he's playing his strokes.
It may be, in fact. It'll keep him out there longer, so he won't try and do anything too silly.
Yeah, good point.
Here is Warne now. He's into Giles. Giles come just forward, playing it there to Catich at forward short leg. This has been Giles's match to some extent, and let's hope from England's point of view that it goes on being his match. But for all of you, and hello to all our friends in Australia, good evening to you, and maybe good night to you. But don't go to bed. It's absolutely fascinating. Or if you're in bed, don't go to sleep. It is a terrific game of cricket. And Warne it is in now, over the wicket, bowls to Giles. Giles is forward, yells of catch it, as always. And the trick went, well, I suppose it bobbled for about 1.5 foot, but that's enough to get Warne going. And then it went all on the ground to Ponting at Scilly Point. The crowd are in tremendous voice, I suppose helped a bit by the amber liquid, which has been flowing, although it's not really very humid today. It's cloudy. And Warne is in now. He bowls, and Giles is forward, running this down to Hayden at slip, and there is no run there. 114 for 7, the England score. They led by 99 on the first innings, therefore it needs no great mathematical gymnastics to work out that their lead is 213. I'm rather glad about that, so I never get the difficult ones right. And it's Warne once more, walking in, up to the wicket, bowls now. Giles forward, Ponting, stopped the ball, pushed it back across the pitch. Giles rather obligingly tapped it back to him. And could have gone on for a long time, but now the ball is back with Warne. Warne bowling his 17th over, 3 for 35. 6 of the first 16 were maidens. He's coming in this tremendous walk of his. He bowls, and that's driven there by Giles along the ground to Gillespie at mid-off, who returns to Gilchrist, and there is no run. And looking at the Eric Holly stand, people in pink, all manner of sort of fancy dress and cross-dressing and goodness knows what going on there. They're having a tremendous time. But not so many beach balls so far in the afternoon session. And Warne it is, in again, bowls, and Giles is forward. Warne actually bowled that from short of the crease, didn't he? He bowled it from about 23 yards, which is a variation. Giles was up to it. It's the end of a maiden over. It's 114 for 7. Warne's figure 17 overs, 7 maidens, 3 for 35. Flintoff has 28, Giles has 2.
It's a great display again of leg spin bowling from him. It's a pleasure to watch the variations. He doesn't have, as we saw at Lord's, he doesn't have so many different types of delivery. He relies pretty much on the leg spinner and this straight on thing that comes out the front of the hand, the slider as they want to call it. But within that context, there's this infinite variety of different spins that he puts on the ball, different pace, different loop, uses the crease, and it's marvellous to watch.
Brett Lee now galloping in. He's coming up to bowl to Flintoff. He's there. He bowled it short. Flintoff helps it round the corner, and it's in the air, but it bounces before Gillespie takes off and takes the ball on the bounce high above his head, and just 1 run to Flintoff. He's 29. Now, if his shoulder had been all right, his left shoulder, that he would either have been caught or it would have gone for 6.
That's absolutely right. He would have. That was more of a paddle round, a help round.
He's got 29 invaluable runs. It's 115 for 7. Talking about going back to Warne, the dreaded Dusra. We haven't heard much about that, have we?
Well, there's all sorts that we don't hear anymore about. What happened to the Zuta, and what was it in the first place?
Was it
was never quite clear. I think it was a myth.
It was all good propaganda, wasn't it?
I reckon, yeah. Different delivery every time. I've got this new delivery. What shall I call it? Zuta. Doesn't mean anything.
Anyway, here comes the racehorse. Brett Lee. He's in. He bowls to Giles, who tries to tuck one round the corner, but his bat doesn't catch up with it. Gilchrist goes far down the leg side and takes. And my goodness me, what a fine wicketkeeper Gilchrist is. We know what a fine batsman he is. But his keeping in this match has been of a very high standard. And I'm afraid, in comparison, England's wicket-keeping has been a long, long way behind. Although, to be fair, I don't think Jones has actually... yes, he did. He missed a stumping, didn't he, off Giles. But he hasn't dropped a catch. But there is a great gulf between the abilities of the two wicketkeepers. Here's Brett Lee once more in bowls. Oh, and that's driven there by Giles. It was a Yorker, and I thought for a moment it had got under his bat. It hadn't. And it was picked up there by Langer at square leg. And there is no run.
You're well to spot there, though. That's a reverse swung. That had a bit of air on it, and as such, it allowed the time to just drift in. So actually, Giles did quite well to play that, because we saw yesterday, didn't we, how that delivery can clean up the tail when Andy Flintoff did so.
Well, isn't that right? And although Andy Flintoff didn't bowl Andrew Flintoff 2 brilliant ones yesterday. Here comes Lee, in bowls that Giles. Giles runs that down to third man. Third man's got a chase. There's 1 in it. There's going to be 2, and it's Cattage down there who throws back. And there could be a buzzer. There is going to be a buzzer, an overthrow. How absolutely splendid for England. And the throw came in. It wasn't a very good one. There was a bit of misbacking up by Langer at square leg. And so another 3 runs there to Giles. He's 5. It's 118 for 7. And England's lead is now 217. And on this pitch, who is to say what is going to be enough? It's the imponderable, isn't it, Mike?
It is. It could be one of those games where 200's enough and you win by 50 runs, or somebody might get the 100 that the game has yet to see.
Brett Lee comes in, bowls short, and Flintoff ducks underneath it, taken there by Gilchrist, going across down the leg side. And nothing is done. He passes the ball to Shane Warne, who was sun-hatted there at first step. Now, Bill, I want to talk to you about the stewards at this ground. We've got the green stewards, we've got the orange stewards in their day-glow jackets, and I think we've got the yellow stewards.
Right, the yellow ones are the Warwickshire ones. They're the normal ones. The other two colours are imported professionals from London, and the orange ones are the supervisors of the green ones.
The orange ones are the I said the orange ones were the gaffers yesterday, so I got that right.
Who supervises them then?
Dennis Amiss, I should think.
Dennis Amiss, or from the committee room anyway. 118 for 7. And here comes Lee, prancing in. He's a great prancer, and he's run up. He bowls now, and forward comes Flintoff, just playing the ball back to Lee, who tries to kick it from boot to hand, fails. And did I say Giles?
No, you didn't, but I just pointed out if Flintoff can bowl, he's on a hat-trick.
Oh, wait, that's what I saw you were
So
pointing
yes,
at him,
yes.
and I thought you were going to say I'd made a mistake. I hadn't.
Okay.
So effectively did he? So effectively did he clean up the tail? It's 2 and 2, wasn't it? 2 LBWs, 2 big in-swung Wacker Unis specials. They were toe crunchers.
Well, they were like heat-seeking missiles, weren't
Well,
they?
I'll tell you what, they were also really, really valuable because, you know, if the tail had just hung around for even a quarter of an hour each, an extra half an hour, that would have given an extra half an hour for Adam Gilchrist.
Well, indeed, and absolutely, and also meant that England's lead would probably only have been 70. Here is Warne now, starting a new over, bowling there to Giles. Giles drives, almost beats Gillespie at mid-off, but he does very well to get across and get down to his left, and there is no run. And the Australians now must be getting a little bit concerned about this partnership, although it only amounts to 17. They're both playing, Flintoff and Giles, with a degree of certainty at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, they're playing okay. Ashley Giles is thus far played showing one okay. He's going round the wicket now to try and spin one behind his legs, one would guess.
Well, so Giles has now been set another list of problems, opens his stance, becomes more two-eyed as Warne comes in, bowls a quicker one. Giles goes back, plays it back down the pitch to Warne. It's a little bit shorter than Warne intended. We've got 3 men round the bat, a slip, a silly point and a forward short leg. A forward short leg is Katic, the silly point is Ponting, the slip is Hayden. And Warne it is with a great thick white sweatband round his left wrist. Walk, 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 up to the wicket now, bowls. Giles goes back, plays that one gently down to Gillespie at mid-off, and there's no run. Gillespie, with some venom, throws that back to Gilchrist. I don't know whether it was just to keep everyone on their toes, but Giles was well anchored within his crease. 118 for 7 then, England in their second innings. And this bewitching, beguiling game of cricket goes on. It is tremendous stuff. And Warne in, round the wicket, bowls now to Giles. Giles comes forward, just pads it away, and Ponting catches the ball off the pad at silly point. And Bill applies another dot in his scorebook. Our friend the dirigible, the light blue dirigible with the white sort of fins, is still up there with the television camera in great form at the city end. And Warne is in now, he bowls, and Giles comes forward, it hits the pad, runs down to Clark at short fine leg, and Warne thinks he's very, very unlucky then.
I think that was very close to the stumps, you know. It didn't bounce very much.
Well, it was
It's
about...
6 inches, I suppose.
Yes,
It's got past the probing pad, that's the point, isn't it?
and it was one of the very few that got past Gilchrist as well.
You've got to make sure you get the pad that covers that, because
Number of Father Christmases over there in the Eric Hollis stand. As Warne is in now, bowls there to Giles, outside the next stump. Giles plays it away. He's going to get one here, that's all. They settle for the one, as it's Lee who comes in off the fine leg boundary. So Giles got to not only survive the over, he's taken England's lead to 218. He has 6, and Flintoff has 29.
playing very comfortably, Ashley Giles, at the moment, though. He's a pragmatist, isn't he, Ashley Giles? He's aware of the limitations he has in his game, and he absolutely maximises his game. I think he's a very impressive cricketer, Ashley Giles.
Although all the kerfuffle last week after the last Test match, he rather, I thought, let himself down.
That was a nonsense, because nobody ever, as far as I'm aware, nobody who anybody cares about actually offered any criticism to us, as far as I'm aware.
I think the only person who made a rather withering criticism was Dave Houghton.
Well, who cares what Dave Houghton says about
Exactly,
it?
who was managing or coaching Derby. And who said something that if Giles plays, England only have 10 men, which is very unfair considering his recent record.
Well, it was totally completely unfair, totally irrelevant.
And Lee now starting in again, up to the wicket, bowls to Giles. Giles comes forward and gets runs here. One of them to the right of Kasparovich there at wide mid-on, who sends back a throw to Gilchrist that goes over his head, and Kasparovich holds up his hand to say, "My dear old thing, I'm sorry." And the score's 120 for 7, 7 to Giles and Bill.
It's an intriguing criticism coming from a man who coaches a county side that hasn't won a championship match for 2 years.
I actually can't understand what anybody's doing asking Dave Houghton's opinion in the first place, to be honest.
Well, I know.
Nothing to do with Dave Houghton.
I couldn't agree more. Here comes Lee, in now, bowls to Flintoff, it's short, and Flintoff just withdraws, gives himself a bit of room, steers that down to Katich at third man, and they run a single. Every run invaluable. 121 for 7, 30 now to Flintoff, and 30, the highest score for England in this innings. And I'm certain that if Flintoff left shoulder hadn't been hurt, he might have been trying to do much more extravagant things and have got himself out.
Well, I think I'm not sure about more extravagant. I think he would have been able to offer a little more power in the shots he has put in, though. A couple of drives which have only been half hit, haven't they, for example?
Quite right. And here is Lee in to Giles. Giles goes back and plays that to the right of Katich at third man. They go for 1. And, I thought they were going to come back for 2 there, but they decided not to. Katich has got a good arm, and he sent in a very good throw, so maybe they were wise not to. 122 for 7, 8 to Giles, and deep Katich goes back. Kasparovich goes back to deep mid-wicket for Flintoff. We've also got a deep square leg, a fine leg, and a third man. 4 men on the boundary, and 5 men. A deep cover as well. And it's Brett Lee to Flintoff. He's in, he's up to the wicket, he bowls, attempt to york him, and no ball is called by umpire Bowden. England won't worry about that. 123 for 7. Flintoff actually sensibly is not really with this shoulder trying to hit the 4s. He's quite happy for the 1s and 2s.
I think he's playing better here than he did in the first innings, A thrilling effort and so forth, but he really didn't seem to have much of a clue against Shane Warne and lived on his wits a little there. He played much better here.
And it is Lee again into Flintoff. Flintoff comes forward, and that one slides off the face of the bat down to third man. Has it gone in? No, it hasn't. Fine piece of fielding there by Katich. He looked at it going for 4. He threw himself at it, stopped it, and brilliant piece of fielding. Kept it to a single. It's 124 for 7, and Flintoff has now got 31. So the lead is 223.
Oh, it's a stunning piece of fielding. Sprawled full length. Didn't knock the ball away. Picked it up cleanly, actually. Very nearly careered into the boundary, whatever you call them. Toblerones, I don't know. The little triangular things, yes.
Aren't they?
Yes. Well, that was to save 3 certain runs, that one.
And it was a fine stop. And here comes Brett Lee again. He's in now to Giles. He's up to the wicket. He bowls. And lifter. Giles fends it down. Didn't know where it was going. Went out on the leg side. And there was no run there.
He's been unsure of that, wasn't he?
You didn't quite know where it was,
no,
did
he
he?
didn't.
But he played it well as he got behind it.
He suspected a little more in that than there was. I think it came off a bit slower than he anticipated, and I think Andy Flintoff just going down and saying, "Well done, mate. That was good. You're in behind it. Keep going."
And it's going to be Brett Lee again, coming in, prancing up to the wicket. He's there now. He bowls short down the leg side. Giles tries to glance, doesn't catch up with the ball. It's the end of the over. 124 for 7. 31 to Flintoff, 8 to Giles. England's lead now 223. And after another word from Mike Selvey, it will be Jim Maxwell.
Well, so far just the 3 bowlers have been used. And we're going to see a 4th, I think, eventually. Michael Kasparovich has not been given the opportunity thus far to contribute. Very much relying on Brett Lee's pace and Shane Warne's spin and a little bit of Jason Gillespie. But thinking now Brett Lee's looking a wee bit tired, a wee bit jaded, not hitting the deck quite so hard. He's going to have to turn to his 4th bowler.
It's probably time to Kasparovich hasn't bowled at all today.
I think he's going to have a go at this pavilion end.
Yes. So a very handy partnership here. The lead up to 223 has Warne around the wicket. Bowls now, and it's driven a little uppishly, but securely away for a run or two down towards deep cover. Gillespie's out there in front of the scoreboard at long off, and Flintoff takes the score to 126. He's 33, top scorer in the innings. 8 to Giles, and another valuable little partnership here. They've added 25, and they're just eking out a position of greater comfort for England, perhaps, if they can marshal their resources with the ball in the second innings. There's a little bit of variable bounce in the pitch and spin. Warne bowls, and he sweeps and hits it hard. Down behind square, Lee is there, makes a fumble, but there's only one run on offer. Another hard hit stroke by Freddie Flintoff. He's 34, and it's 7 for 127. This has been a marathon performance from Warne today. He's been operating from the City end since the start. It's his 18th over of the day, 19th of the match, and a reward so far just 3 wickets, so he won't be getting number 600 here. It may have to wait until Old Trafford. England will be hoping it's the Oval before he does that, but he's just working away here, getting a little bit of turn, and Ashley Giles is playing him with a bit more respect than Warne played Giles with yesterday.
Yes, absolutely right. That was a pretty ordinary piece of cricket from Shane Warne. I'm not quite sure what he was trying to prove. Down the pitch. I mean, it was down the pitch and a club third 11 slog, wasn't it?
It looked bad. Warne bowls, and he tries a sort of paddling shot, and then I think kicked the ball away as Giles was leading out to a ball outside the leg stump. Giles was a sweepaholic in the first innings. Was hit on the pads twice, and the third time out. In this innings, he's been very circumspect, just wanting to support Flintoff and doing a fine job. Warne goes in again. Giles leans forward, and it almost bowls him around his legs. It just slid past off the pad. He had the protection there, but he needs to take great care, because all of a sudden one can drift a little wider, turn, and knock out the leg stump. That's where that was heading.
Yeah, it was too.
Just hit the back leg.
It hit on the back leg, didn't it?
Yeah. So you need to get that pad a little wider if that's the ploy to blunt Warne's wrist spin. Warne bowls to him. Giles goes back, plays on the bounce to Katic, who's in close. And the score stays at 7 for 127. So the surging, enthusiastic crowd here have been bursting into song through the Barmy Army since lunch. Fortified by a few pints, probably. Bit of sun around here at the moment, with some high grey cloud around the ground, and Giles gets one right up outside the leg stump, and he decides, no, kick it away again. So frustration for Shane Warne. He's only picked up 2 wickets today. Lee's collected 4. And at this point of the day, it will be Michael Kasparovich, who bowled just 1 over last night, to come on at the pavilion end. It's 7 for 127, 8 to Giles and 34 to Flintoff.
I think one of the reasons England have slightly negated Shane Warne is it's the right hand as he's bowling to. He's got to search from the rough, which is right outside the right hander. They can kick him away. The left handers, you might say, well, the left hander has a chance of slog sweeping him with the spin, but also they're the ones who would get the rough outside the rough stump too. And that might also be a little poser for the Australian batsmen, because there are 4 left-handers in the top 7, aren't there? And that rough is there for Ashley Giles to exploit as well.
And Giles was certainly a factor in the first innings. They treated him with the utmost respect. They really took a chance against him. And he's out there doing the all-rounder's job at the moment for England.
Michael Vaughan handled his bowls pretty well, I thought, more than pretty well, brilliantly in the first innings. Not least in giving Ashley Giles protection this time round. He gave him that man out on the deep mid-wicket boundary for the left-handers, which is a crucial position because it allowed him to also to have the men round the bat with it, knowing that they really can't afford to hit him in the one area they want to hit him, which is, I'd say, they get with the spin over mid-wicket.
Well, it'd be a wonderful twist of events if Giles ended up being the match winner. Man of the match, perhaps. He's contributed very well here. Now Kasparovich bowls. It's to Flintoff. Flintoff takes him away on the rise, punching the ball down towards mid-off, but he's still troubled by this sore left shoulder. Don't know if we have a report on his condition from the room. So at the time we couldn't really work out what had occurred. We thought he may have hit his shoulder with a bat and a follow through, but he's obviously just tweaked something in that shoulder when he was trying to attack a ball from Warne. The field's spread about here, just one slip. Kasparovich bowls and Flintoff gets a short ball and hammers it away to the line for 4. That was a long hop, and Flintoff might be a little wounded, tentative on that left shoulder, but he had plenty of time to smash that out to the line. He moves to 38. 7 for 131, a lead of 230. Jeff Lawson, good afternoon.
Afternoon, James. Afternoon, listeners. I think the shoulder's loosening up. That was a fine stroke. Played with power, and he's been lacking a little power since he did tweak whatever he's tweaked, but that got the full treatment.
Kasparovich again, down the leg side. He tries to help it on its way down to fine leg, but doesn't make contact. So Kasparovich might be just a little stiff out there. He's been wandering around in the field all day. Hasn't had the chance to bowl. It's been Lee, 15 overs, 1 maiden, 4 for 58. And Gillespie, 8 overs, no maidens, none for 24, who've supported Warne at this pavilion end, while Warne's been working away tirelessly down at the city end. Now Flintoff, just a little curbed in his ability to hit because of the injury. He faces a short ball, chops down on it. It was the big back-breaking delivery from Michael Kasparovich that tightened him up near the off stump, and it went away into the turf. Jones, the man out since lunch, got an ugly ball from Lee that leapt at him, and he gloved it straight to Ponting at second slip, and he was out for 9.
And just signs, I think, a bit reverse swing. I think Brett Lee was just producing a bit, tried to knock Giles over the Yorker a couple of times. Didn't quite get it right, but Kasparovich, we know, can also get the reverse swing happening.
He moves up to bowl, and Flintoff is keeping the ball out at the last moment. Again, the ball moving in towards him. And it's a skill that we saw well expressed by Jones and Flintoff yesterday. Flintoff, of course, is on a hat-trick, having hit the pads of Gillespie and Kasparovich to end the innings. And Giles is coming down now to pat away at the pitch. There is certainly some variable bounce there. Although the ball that bowled Vaughan just looked to be fast and straight, and he missed it. Kasparovich bowls, and that comes in towards him again, and he pushes it off the pad out to mid-wicket, and it's fielded there by Kadich to complete the over. 7 for 131, 230 ahead England, and Kasparovich a couple of overs for 9 runs.
And it is interesting when a player gets injured and Flintoff's got this shoulder soreness or whatever it happens to be, and it restricts him from playing the big shots and being aggressive all the time. And he's adapted his game very nicely indeed, and it does prove that he can bat, not just hit, not just play the big shots, but he can bat properly when he has to. And sometimes it's a lesson for the player themselves. It's a physical problem that's restricting his play, but if you can transfer that physicality over to your thought process, you can sometimes learn a lot about your own game. And Flintoff has certainly adapted his game with the injury, and he's playing an incredibly valuable role at the moment.
So's Giles with his open stance, trying to keep Warne out around the wicket. He goes in towards him. Giles goes forward off the pad. It pops up to Ponting, who's at silly point. Hayden's at slip. Kadich under the lid at short leg. Clark at a short fine leg. There's a deep backward square and a mid-off, a cover and a backward point. And Warne wearing the batsman down, trying to. Around the wicket again. He bowls to Giles, and Giles kicks the ball away on the offside. Now, I have some news for those who are interested in all of this. There's been a fancy dress event here today, and there's a trophy to the winners of that event.
I think it's very unfair that Jonathan Agnew was even nominated.
don't know who's on the committee to judge it, but there's plenty of entrants here. As we look around the ground, forward goes Giles. He's caught it slip, outside edge, straight to Hayden, and Giles has been done over by Warne's expertise there. A bit quicker, a leg break. He pushed forward, he kicks at the traces as he wanders off. Hayden having taken that sharp low chance. It's 8 for 131, and it's a whoopee for Australia and a whoopee for someone else I'll tell you about in a moment.
Well, Giles got one that probably hits a cushion and turns out there. Flatter one. Warren didn't really throw that up and give it too much air. It was flatter. It still turned. Giles had kicked away the previous couple, and the body gets in that feeling where you need to play with your pad first, and perhaps he saw the trajectory a little flatter. Got the bat out in front, and it just turned enough. It wasn't a big turner, but just turned enough to get the edge, and straight to Hayden. Didn't have to move at all, with the legs planted wide at first slip, and went low to him, but a very simple catch. And Ashley Giles, handier resistance, and comes to a close out for Shane Warne for the second time in the match. This time not playing the sweep, but defending. And Warne, who we all suspected after the dismissal of Strauss last night, might be the big destroyer today, and has certainly played his part. It's been Brett Lee that's made the big breakthroughs, but Warne once again just doing his business. What's that? Is that 4?
4 for the innings, 8 for the match.
8 for the match, and still 2 left. And although Steve Harmison's shown that he can actually play Shane Warne by sweeping nearly everything, Warne must fancy himself of picking up the last couple now.
Now, I was talking about the whoopee because the whoopee cushions have been judged as the winners of the Fancy Dress Trophy. A lot of people have made an effort here today to dress up, and this has become the occasion on the Saturday at Edgbaston. And a group from Wolverhampton and Walsall who come to the Edgbaston Test every year. They consist of 10 cushions, a mixture of policemen, electricians and prison guards. They found their inspiration from the internet, buying their outfits from a lesser-known official Whoopee cushion website. And a spokesperson for the group, Whoopi Goldberg, whooped with surprise. So there you are. They've won the trophy. And it's Harmison, after another discussion between Ponting and Warne, who gets ready to face his first ball. 8 for 131. Harmison comes forward, and an appeal for a catch in close. He's out. First ball. Warne's on a hat-trick. Ponting thrust up his left hand and grabbed the ball. It was spearing in towards Harmison's pads. He must have just got a nick as it flew out. It's 9 for 131. And Harmison, not for the first time in his career, joins the primary club.
Now we'll get a look at the replay here. It's much flatter and quicker from Warne. Drifts in. I'm assuming it's not LBW. Well, bat next to pad, couple of noises, flurry of dust. I need to see a side-on replay of that. I'm pretty sure Warne's not appealing for LBW. Is it pad on the bat? It does come quickly after it hits the pad. And no doubt by those around the bat. It's one of those difficult one. And Shane Warne, well, he's got the 5 and 9 for the match. The 5 he couldn't get at Lords. He was looking to have his name up on the honour board there at Lords, but McGrath stole his thunder. But here he has now taken 9 wickets in the match. Harmison out for a golden gozzer, caught by Ponting in close. The lead 230. It's still a game very much on the edge here. England have got something to bowl at, and now Flintoff will be hoping that Simon Jones can survive. How many more in this over, Bill? 2 to come, and Warne is on a hat-trick, and we might see some more of the pyrotechnical batting that Flintoff showed us in the first innings with number 11 in. But now this could be an interesting little moment here. Warne, of course, has taken a hat-trick in Test cricket. It was at the MCG against England a number of years ago, and there's a chance of him getting another one. Devon Malcolm caught a bat pad by David Boone. And the others were De Freitas and Goff in that hat-trick. So they're surrounding the batsman, no surprise there. I wonder if Simon Jones is concerned about the fact that he could be
the third victim in a hat-trick, or is he going to play as he normally does? And if the ball's up, try and hit it out of the ground. He hit a tremendous 6 over long off in the first innings. Warne's just building it all up here. He's getting all the actors on the stage, as it were, to come in and with a quiet line or two, perhaps, as they move into position, just keep up the psychological pressure. So Warne on 598 test wickets. He's on a hat-trick. And there are men all around the bat. And Warne just rubs away at the ball like a genie, a magician. Jones taps and waits. Will this be the hat-trick? Around the wicket, Warne bowls, and Jones gets a full and wide delivery. Anti-climax. Didn't have to play at that. He just pitched it 2 full and wide.
Yeah, look, I think he wanted to bowl wide and get the spin back a long way. I think that would have been the plan for the hat-trick, but it didn't hit the rough. He must have missed all the footmarks and went straight through. So, a bit of an anti-climax there, but Warne will be just as happy if he gets in this ball. Field hasn't changed. They're still crowding Jones.
The last ball of the over. Warne trying to finish off the innings. He bowls now to Jones, and Jones comes forward and drives it away for 4. That's Jones. That's the counter-attack. It was pitched up, and he went at the ball, and there's no one out there, and it disappeared over the rope at cover. Bold stroke. Jones 4. And how vital are all the runs that they can acquire here at the death. And the lead up to 234. And Warne, who was bowled unchanged today at the City end, 20 overs, 7 maidens, 5 for 43.
Another outstanding performance from Shane Warne. As we watch a replay of the Harmison pad bat, and it was it's a great shot. It shows it off the pad, on the edge of the bat and flying up. And 2 in 2 for Warne. Now, Kasparov gets a chance here because he's got it going reverse swing quite a while. If Flintoff wants to attack him, I think he takes a bit of a risk that he gets a Yorker that swings in late.
No one had slipped. They're all spread out. Kasparov bowls, and he has a big swing and misses. He was trying to hit that somewhere over our commentary box out into the street. And Billy Bowden getting ready, I think, to dive for cover and to signal a 6 if he gets hold of it. But that was a massive swing from Flintoff that missed.
I think the shoulder's getting there. And it was a big reverse swinger. And if Kasparov is thinking here, this will be Yorkers. It's swinging, get right up in the block hole.
4 men on the onside boundary. He bowls again, and he swings into a no ball, and he's hit it between the fieldsmen and away to the boundary for 4. 6. It's gone over the line between whitish mid-wicket and long on. It was pitched in just the right spot. So we could have a period here of brilliant counter-attack from Andrew Flintoff. In the space of 5 or 6 deliveries, he could make a big impact on this game. He's already 44, 9 for 142. And those men on the boundary, they're not deep enough to stop this fella. Kasparov bowls again, and he swings once more and smears the ball away towards a wideish cover, but he doesn't get a run. He doesn't want a run, even though it was available with Ponting coming around to pick up in front of Martin down there at long off.
Yeah, not the time to take a single. I think second ball, you just hit, well, first ball, really. The first one's a no ball, the 6. Plenty of balls left in the over. Kasparov is not bowling Yorkers, he's bowling hit-me balls, he's bowling length balls. They get it up there.
He goes in again, and Flintoff walks across and swings into that. He's hit that over the line again for 6. No surprise. And Kasparov has got to adjust here. Flintoff is having a big piece of him. He launched at the ball, and this is like the one days when poor old Michael Kasparov was bowling at the deaths. And it's his half century as well. His second half century of the match. Tremendous all-round contribution from Andrew Flintoff here at 9 for 148.
And what a way to bring it up. I mean, 2 terrific shots, and I can't believe the shoulder can be affecting his stroke play at the moment. 2 great shots, a couple of very poor deliveries.
Kasparov in again, and he's down, and he's swinging at a no ball and smashing it out to deep cover. Hayden's there. They take the single this time. And again, Kasparov overstepping. Bill?
Flintoff's 50, 97 minutes, 64 balls, 2 sixes and 5 fours.
Now, Kasparovich has got Jones down there, and Australia really need to finish off the proceedings here as smartly as possible. At the moment, if the wicket falls, they'll need exactly 250 to win. But there's no certainty that the wicket's going to fall immediately, and Flintoff could still add another 30 or 40 here.
Well, Australia pride themselves on being able to concentrate through a complete innings, every ball, every batsman, and to be honest, this is a really poor over. 2 no balls for a start, but also length balls from Michael Kasparovich, not Yorkers. He's got it swinging, it's going reverse. He's got to get it up there. Maybe length balls now. Jones is on strike, that's a bit different, so he'll swing across him. Now he's going around the wicket, so he'll angle in and get the swing back away. So that's good thinking, but for all the wonderful hitting from Freddie Flintoff, he's got the balls in the zone to hit. I mean, that is not good Test cricket.
No, it looks as though Flintoff's doing it easily against him, but might be different for Jones. 2 slips, gully, backward point, around the wicket. Kasparovich to Jones. Jones drives off the edge, just wide of Ponting, down towards third man for 4. A lucky stroke. But in his favour, he went fairly hard at it and got enough of an edge, a thick enough edge, to just clear Ponting at second slip. Maybe there should have been a third slip, but it went for 4. 9 for 154. Jones has hit 2 boundaries.
Yeah, that was the right leg that moved. But Ponting's got a first slip, a second slip and a fourth slip, and that went about to Thurston's right hand. Can't do much about those. They've even got a third man. But Jones is probably doing the right thing. If he gets something up in his area, he'll go after it hard.
2 no balls in the over, so still 2 to come. Kasparovich goes up at Jones. Jones changes his mind. Well played. He wasn't suckered into that outside the off stump as he watched it go through. And now Flintoff comes down and said, I hope you're counting. There's 1 left in the over. Just try and keep it out. But I don't know. Jones goes on a bit of adrenaline like Flintoff. He might try and clobber it for 4.
Although, having said that, Flintoff has wandered down and had a word. Just what the word could be, a couple of things. Could be, if it's up, you go after it. Keep playing like that. Or, mate, just survive the ball, will you? Let me do the hitting at the other end. I think it's much rather likely to be the second.
Kasparovich bowls now, and Jones comes forward and plays the ball away. There's a single there, but they don't take it. And it's a no ball. Another no ball from Kasparovich. This is poor cricket, and it was in the first innings when he bowled 8 no balls from this end, and it has been an issue with his bowling throughout the tour. And as we keep saying, they spend all the time with tape measures. You'd think they'd be almost perfect in where they're getting their front foot to land. Another run, 9 for 155. Kasparovich goes up. Jones comes forward, and that's a legal delivery, and it's time for drinks. Billy Bowden's getting thirsty, and maybe a few others are too, particularly those that won the fancy dress trophy competition, the whoopee cushions. They can have a celebration. And here at Edgbaston, the lead is now 254 for England. It's 9 for 155 with drinks on the field. More from Jeff Lawson, and then Jonathan Agnew is coming in.
Well, the lead now over just over the 250 mark. We go back to the start of play. England just 25 for 1. They'd be pretty disappointed. I think it'd be 155 for 9. On the other hand, the fact that they got themselves into some deep trouble early on and have fought their way out, particularly with the Flintoff half century, that makes the scoreboard look a little better at drinks here as we head towards the tea break. So the game's still ebbing and flowing, Agnes, isn't it? And even this little innings by Flintoff makes a difference, and Australia need to concentrate at the moment because the lead is 254. And look, I've got to say, I think the pitch is still playing pretty well. And I think Australia could get 254, but they might be able to get 300.
How have Australia been recently chasing targets? So they went through a phase, didn't they, where people always said, oh, they're not very good at chasing.
Well, yeah, I think that's a little overstated. It happened a couple of times on some pretty poor last day wickets and mostly in dead rubbers. So they didn't have a lot of pressure on. They did certainly a couple of times they failed. South Africa in Sydney, England in Sydney, mind you, that was a lot more. It was about 400 odd they had to chase there. But
300 always takes some getting.
It does.
Depending last in a test match.
And no matter what the state of the pitch is, and this one's still, I've got to say, it's reasonable. I don't think it's not brilliant. It's perhaps starting to get worse, but I haven't seen too many really run along the ground today. That one must have been Jones got a brute.
Yes,
and he couldn't do much about that, and that's more the worry, I think, than the one that keeps low. The ones that have kept low have been outside the line of the stumps, but that one, the Jones, was good enough to fend a glove off. But that is probably more a danger sign than perhaps the balls that are keeping low. But 250. Australia would be happy having England 155 for 9, given they were 25 for 1 at the start. But they don't want this last wicket partnership to slip away, and if they don't bowl well to Flintoff, it'll slip away rather quickly.
Well, they will, and this is going to be the exciting thing now. He's got this damaged shoulder. We don't know how damaged, but some sort of nerve problem possibly in his left shoulder. We're not entirely sure. I think it was a muscle problem. He wouldn't be able to play any shots at all. But he's opened his shoulders a couple of times now, and that at least suggests, if we put an optimistic slant on this, that he'll be fit to bowl, and that itself is another issue. We won't know, of course, until England come out to bowl. 155 for 9. Billy Bowden's been somewhere, and he's running back on the field again. Well, an odd run, runs like a sort of a stick insect, buzzing over the ground. Here he comes.
I think if he got a river dance, he doesn't use his arms when he runs.
Anyway, he's in position just about, and so too is Rudy Kurtzen at the far end, and so too is Shane Warne, who's bowled all day. And he's been toiling away. He's bowled 19 overs today, and he's taken 4 wickets today, and at the moment he's got 5 for 43. So 155 for 9. The lead is 254. England could score another 46 out of this. Then I think they'll feel that they're probably in with a better shout, but you just never know. There is so much time left in this game. We're now only halfway through the match in terms of time. Here's Warne. He starts a new over, and Flintoff pads his first ball back. Australia want this 1 wicket. Poor old Casper, 3 overs for 29. He got a bit of a hammering there. Not sure what they're going to do.
Well, he deserved it though. I mean, bowling length balls or balls that Flintoff can get underneath, it's swinging. It's going in reverse. You don't bowl balls in that zone when the batsman's hitting. You might bowl when they're defending.
Yeah, so 4 men out on the leg side boundary. There's massive gaps there on the leg side, and Flintoff comes forward here and prods that away into the offside. They're all set deep as well, so there's a single wherever Flintoff wants it, basically.
Well, there's the only place there's not a single is to the bowler or to first slip, basically.
Yeah. That's your lot. Otherwise, you want one, you take it. And they'll have a bowl at Simon Jones, who's on 8. It's Flintoff on 51, who waits for Warne. Here he comes, and Flintoff is forward here, getting that pad right behind the bat. And there's no run. 254 ahead. Australia need currently 255 to win. Is it enough? There's a lot of it depends on how England bowl. It's another matter, of course. They've bowled pretty well in the series so far, though. And Warne comes in round the wicket and bowls to Flintoff, who swings down the deep backward square leg. They've taken the single. Kastrovic throws the ball back. So Flintoff gets up to that end, and now can Simon Jones survive 2? Is it, Bill? Thank you. Flintoff and Warne exchanged some sort of joke up there that Rudy Kurtzen also enjoyed. It's not all sledging and bad tempers out there.
Well, in fact, it's been quite a well-tempered game, hasn't it?
Yeah.
They've been the opponents applauding their opposition's half-centuries, and it's well, I wouldn't say it was good-humoured, but it's certainly not ill-tempered.
No.
A bit more respect going about it. That's how I would see it.
Thank goodness for that. Now then, we've got men around the bat, 3 of them. And Jones will just try and kick away 2 balls here, I would imagine.
Oh, no, he's trying to blaze a couple through the covers.
You reckon?
Well, a wonderful shot he played to get off the mark.
It was, actually. But I suspect there's Flintoff down there in this sort of mood now. Surely Jones will just try and see Warne out. He comes forward to this one, and he manages to do that. The ball trickles away to silly point. 1 survived. Jones liked that. In fact, so much, he's come up to tell Flintoff all about it. Another tap of the gloves. Well done.
Yeah, well defended. And I think he might get if he keeps walking down the middle of the pitch like that to tap gloves, he might get a little talking to from either umpire.
156 for 9. Warne pauses again. It's his turn to hold-up play now, and he comes in with one ball left in this over. Here he comes with bowls to Jones. That pops away into the leg side, but didn't come off the bat, just the pad. And although Katic caught it, Jones, of course, remains. So, well done him. Flintoff will be on strike. Casper's been sacked. And Brett Lee's coming back into the attack.
And I'm sure we'll see some rapid in-swinging Yorkers here. I mean, Brett Lee's quite good at that sort of delivery, but if he's got to aim for the bottom of our stump, and if it swings a bit too much, it might hit the other two. But if anything, it's going to be very hard to hit for 6.
Yes.
Let's just hope Lee doesn't get carried away with Yorker bounce this stuff, because Flintoff is quite good on this slow wicket to play short stuff and hit a few more 6s. So we need some sensible bowling from Lee, and Flintoff.
Well, they're simply sending everyone out to the boundary. And
this is one-day cricket in the 70s.
Exactly. I was going to say, it wasn't so long ago you could do this in a one-day match, and thank goodness you can't anymore. But out they all go. Every single one is going out to the boundary, apart from the wicketkeeper. And the last time I saw this, I think, was on television. Was it a one-day match in Sydney when Mike Brearley did this once?
And the West Indies needed 3 to win off the last ball. Everyone, including the keeper, who was David Bairstow,
Indeed.
was sent to the boundary, and the ball went through, I think, to the keeper, and they got 2 and lost. And I think that kind of thing prompted the change in the rules for one-day cricket, and that would have been about 1979, I think.
Yes. Right. Well, he might get a 2 here, because everyone on the leg side... excuse me, on the leg side are particularly deep, right back on the edge of the boundary.
I think he's got to hit it slowly, though. If you hit, the outfield's so quick, even if you push it firmly, it's hard to get the 2. But if you just block it out towards Rudy Kurtzen and run hard, there might be a couple in that.
Well, how do you bowl to a field like this? Do you come steaming in and try and get him out, or do you just save your energy and wait? I don't know. In goes Lee. And he bowls to Flintoff, who swings massively down towards long leg. They would have been 1 there, but they don't take it. So from this we can gather that Flintoff is still going to play a few shots, but he's only going to run if it means that he keeps the strike at the moment. The lead is 255.
And we saw the Australian tail make the error of leaving Adam Gilchrist stranded in the first innings on 48 not out. At least the last couple have enabled Flintoff to get through to his 50, and if Jones is sensible, they might get a few more.
In goes Lee, he's there, he bowls to Flintoff, who swings, this time on the ground to long off. Again, there was a long single.
It's like having a net.
Yeah.
It's a slogging net.
Well, it is. This is why it's all rather strange, isn't it? I mean, he isn't going to get a 2, I wouldn't have thought, playing those sort of shots. And yet he could get out by playing across the line or whatever. I mean,
if he's looked around, they really thought about it. Got to think 2, haven't you?
156 for 9. We've had 2 balls. Now, Lee runs it again. He's there. He bowls to Flintoff, who swings again. A lusty blow down to long on. They've taken 1. Kasovich is the fielder. He throws the ball back. That's all they're going to have. And again, it was a funny stroke, and it was a risk-taking shot in that there was a chance he could have been bowled by playing a shot like that, and it was only for 1 run, whereas he could have simply blocked it for 1.
And third ball, I think the Aussies will be quite pleased. He's got 1,
yes.
No great damage, and you've got 3 balls at Jones, so that's okay. Otherwise, Flintoff may as well take the 1 first ball and have some faith in Jones to hang around and get a bit more strike, maybe. Obviously, give Jones more chance of getting out, but he's no bunny, is he? I mean,
no, he's not a bunny.
He's quite a respectable lower-order player.
Will one day there be circles in a test match, I wonder? Field restrictions. Not today, anyway. And Ponting's jogging down to second slip.
Well, to be honest, we don't often see that too.
No, we don't.
It's quite a rarity.
In goes Lee, and Jones swings outside the off stump. That was a bad shot. His front foot was nowhere near the ball. I'm not sure what Flintoff's going to say to him. I've got a fair idea, actually. He's coming down the pitch and saying, hang on a minute. What's going on? He's certainly getting a bit of a stern talking to. Looks very earnest, Freddie. Talking in his best Preston. I'm sure Simon can understand him. He's got a nice Welsh lilt. That wasn't a good shot. 157 for 9. England lead by 256. Off goes Lee. He bowls, and Jones, he's spooned that away into the offside. Kasovich can't get there. It's going for 4. Well, it was a risky shot. And again, I'm not sure what Flintoff might have made of that. Had Jones holed out at mid-off, I'm not sure anyone might have made of that. But
Still,
I
he
suppose
hit it
the
well,
field
didn't
in.
he? He hit it really
Yeah.
solidly.
I suppose what you have to say is if the field are out for Flintoff, he's not going to hit many runs. And if the field comes in for Jones, at least he has a chance of hitting boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good, solid through-the-line shot. Granted, just wide of Michael Kasparich, who's quite deep there at mid-off, but also not a good ball from Lee. It's not a good length ball, it's not a Yorker, it's not a bouncer, it's there to be hit.
In goes Lee, he bowls, and Jones lets the last ball go through outside the off stump. Well, they've got 5 from that over. 161 for 9. The lead, 260.
And that's a good over for England. They get 5 off it, and they've got Flintoff back on strike, so that's a big win for them through that over. And the ball that got hit for 4, I mean, it wasn't a good piece of bowling. Lee's just bowling up at the stumps thinking, well, I'll knock Jones over here, rather than giving him a bit of respect. So, well, I've got to bowl him a fairly decent ball to defend, or I bowl a Yorker. It was really just full, not quite a half volley, but just full and straight.
So Warne's going to continue. No break for him down there. He's been going since first thing this morning. 161 for 9. Flintoff's on strike. And again, an entirely deep set field, except there is a gully there. It's rather incongruous, really. Hayden standing there with the wicketkeeper just in his position, of course. Warne the bowler, everyone else out in the deep. Then comes Warne and bowls to Flintoff. He's going for a 6, but it's not going to. He's going to get 4, though, I think, out towards deep straight mid-wicket. No, Clark's there. They think about the second. They really should have got 2 there. That was poor running.
Well, I think it might have been interesting at the bowler's end, because the throw from Clark, bounce throw, came in over the bails like a bullet.
I think Flintoff expected
close.
2 there. Jones turned blind, as they say. He was looking in the wrong direction. Now, this does give Australia an opening, with Jones having to face 5 balls from Warne. I'm sure Flintoff, if he thought there was only going to be 1 there, I mean, for a moment it looked like it might go for 4, but Clark is very quick, isn't he? But I'm sure Flintoff ran there thinking 2.
Well, he should have called 2 on the way past. I'll look for 2. Hustle, look for 2, put some pressure on him. Didn't happen.
So 5 balls in the over. Can Jones get away from the strike? In comes Warne. He bowls to him outside the off stump. He thrusts that pad at it. The ball misses. And it's taken by Gilchrist, who's keeping wicket in a helmet. 162 for 9. The lead 261. I thought Warne would be pretty tired by now. He's bowled 21 overs on the trot. Mind you, it's a very slow over rate again. Look at that.
You get well fueled when you eat pizzas all the time.
Still 48 overs remain today. Here's Warne, and Jones is forward again, defending this. He's survived 2. There are 3 to go. Warne doesn't sound tired, and he's saying something now. He's chatting away. I don't think he's saying anything to Jones, but he's chatting to somebody there. Does something to try and break the batsman's concentration, and Flintoff again comes down and taps his partner on the gloves and says, well done. And he hit that one absolutely in the middle of the bat. So what Warne was saying, I'm not a very good lip reader. Not any immediately recognisable words there. If he comes around the wicket and bowls, and Jones pads that away, catch it, shouts Warne, but nobody does. I suspect it didn't come off the bat or the glove anyway. And Warne strokes his little goatee stubbly beard and walks back to his mark. 2 balls remain in the over. I'm a bit croaky this afternoon. I apologise for that. I need some water, I think. 162 for 9. Warne again spins himself a catch or 2, rubs the ball on his trousers. And round the wicket he comes again. Jones, oh my word, he's hit on the pad there, pinning for leg before wicket. It very nearly bowled him. Umpire Kurtzen has said not out. He's smiling. Warne's having a mini fit down there, grimacing. He thought he'd got in there, but it was a brave umpire who'd give that out.
Turned a long way, didn't it? I mean, no shot, so yeah, but you get forward and it's turning that far.
Something's really tickled Rudy Kurtzen. He was killing himself with laughter there.
No.
Must be some rather amusing banter going on. He couldn't give that out.
No.
It pitched
That's probably what he was laughing at.
about 4 or 5 feet outside the off stump. So Warne, the last ball of the over, comes in and bowls to Jones again with a huge grunt, but Jones survives, and that's kept this going. 162 for 9. His father's in the crowd, applauding as he watches, and the 2 batsmen have a chat. 162 for 9. A bit more from Jeff Lawson, though not for long, and then Henry Blofeld.
Thanks, Egg, as well. Another victory for England, really, just a single off it off the first ball, and then Jones played the over reasonably safely. And each run really is, well, a nail in the coffin might be a little strong, but with the thing is now we have Flintoff back on strike, and he'll be after 4s and 6s here. Another 10 and 20 runs here, Henry, is invaluable.
Brett Lee it is, in now to Flintoff. Flintoff heaves at that. It's gone over the pavilion. It's an enormous 6. My goodness me, that you won't see a bigger 6 in 100 years. It went right over the pavilion. I should think into the road behind. It was the most extraordinary stroke. And it went into the scaffolding on top of the pavilion, but it was a colossal blow. 168 for 9. Flintoff has now got 60. And what can you say about that? It was a terrific stroke.
In fact, it's come back. It's been through security and had the metal detectors after it. It's been out of the ground.
It was a colossal blow. I've got one sensational piece of news. Nigel Havers, after lunch, has rolled up his sleeves and become a news hound, and he went down to the players' loo, where he discovered that Flintoff's problem is that he's torn a muscle in his left shoulder. Wow. So that's very interesting. And here comes Lee again, and Flintoff swings, and that goes away to third man, and it's just been saved. No ball was called. And they come back for the third run, the second run. They had to run pretty quickly because the throw came in from Clark down there fast. But they got the second run, and they got 3 runs, in fact, because it was a no ball as well. So 170 now for 9, which means that if no more runs are scored, Australia will have to score 270 to win. Well, it's a 4. It is a 4. I thought it might have been when Clark went to save that. He was in contact with the ball as he rolled over the line. So 172 for 9. It gets better and better for England.
Brett.
64 now for Flintoff. And here's Lee again in bowls. And Flintoff swings again. It's coming for 6 more, I think. Is it? Yes, over the top. It's just below us here. Another 6. And Billy Bowden does this extraordinary gesture of his, signalling the 6. And this really is a fantastic cricket. What can you say? It's 100 now and 79 for 9.
Is there any chance of bowling a Yorker out there? What's Yorker?
Yorker.
Not in the dictionary anymore.
No more. Well, it's in Flintoff's dictionary, but not at the moment in Lee's.
Yorkshire is, because that's where he's trying to hit it.
And apparently the first 6 was fielded on the gantry behind us by Graham Gooch, who's working for Radio 5 Live. Here's Lee again, and Botham swings, and he's going to get... Flintoff swings. And it goes away to deep extra cover, and he gets a single. And it's 71 now to Flintoff, 180 for 9. And my goodness me, Sal, this is exciting, isn't it?
Well, is this the definitive innings? Is this the one that tilts the match? It is some awesome hitting, isn't it?
Oh.
I agree with Henry, though. The coaching book seems to have got stuff with H for half volley, doesn't it, rather than Y for Yorker.
Well, these two now put on 49 for the last wicket. And the Australians won't be enjoying this at all. 4 6s, 6 4s Flintoff has in his 71. Flintoff, who I mistakenly called Botham in the last over, but he hits like Botham. Here's Lee in now to Jones. Oh, and he's got him there, BW, has he? No, Billy Bowden says not out. He did get it up into the crease. I think it was just going down leg side.
I think Billy Bowden didn't see that swing. I reckon that was swung late, reversed very late and straightened, you know. I think that might have almost gone late and the umpire could see it. I bet that was knocking middle out. Look at that, that's a phenomenal...
Oh yes, that was knocking middle out, wasn't it? Absolutely.
You see, that's gone so late, I don't think the umpire's seen that. He's seen that as going down leg side. Maybe didn't quite do enough, but...
Well, Ponting has come down the wicket having a word with Billy Bowden. And but I must say, looking at the replay, it looked absolutely plumb.
That was a terrific delivery.
It was, wasn't it?
You know, that was the sort of delivery that you'd have seen Procky bowl with the new ball, Mike Proctor from round the wicket.
Well, goodness me. Lee is entirely disenchanted, so too is Ponting. Lee if anyone came up to him, I think they'd get a straight left, especially if he's wearing an umpire's uniform.
Well, Hawkeye saw the same thing as I saw, Henry. He was knocking middle.
He's knocking middle out, I know. And here's Lee again, in to Jones. The lucky Jones. He's up to the wicket, he bowls, and Jones comes forward and drives. It goes out to Langer there at cover. They could have run a single, but they don't. How many balls in this over left now? Just the single ball to go. And obviously Flintoff wants to have another dart at Warne. He goes down the wicket and has a word with Simon Jones. And one can't help but feel very sorry for the Australians then, because it really was a marvellous ball from Lee. But as you say, maybe Billy Bowden...
They go so late, you know. They really do. You're talking about 90 miles an hour here, and that's going in the last 10 feet, probably.
And here's Lee again, round the wicket. He's up there, bowling to the left-handed Jones. He bowls. Jones is forward, pushing down to mid-off. It's the end of the over. Lee kicks the ground in disgust, which brings the crowd to its feet. And... I don't know if he's having a word with Billy Bowden as he takes his sweater and cap from him. But Bowden seems in just a little bit of a turmoil. He was going away to square leg for the left-hander, when in fact he should be the other side of the wicket, because it is Flintoff in strike. 180 for 9, 71 Flintoff, 12 Jones.
18 off the over.
He might think that was worth a match fee, that one, you know. Just have a good old pop of Billy. What's a couple of $1,000? Say what I think.
Well, yes, I suppose he might have done. Anyway, Warne is going to continue, and Lee 17 overs, 1 maiden, 4 for 81. How many of that over did you say, Bill?
18.
18. Warne now to Flintoff. He's up to the wicket, he bowls. Flintoff just pushes forward, takes it on the pad. Gilchrist goes out towards forward short leg, picks up and returns to Warne. We got fielders all over Birmingham at the moment. We've got the ones I can see. We've got a deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, deep extra cover, deep cover. And Warne is in again. Up to the wicket now, bowling, and Flintoff's down the wicket, pushing back to the bowler. And when he first started to come down the wicket, I thought we were going to see some more pyrotechnics. But I think Flintoff realises that the best way of getting runs is to get them off the quick bowlers at the other end. And he's going to play Warne and try and get a single off one of the last 2 balls of the over. Warne in now to Flintoff, up to the wicket, he bowls, down the leg side, Flintoff comes forward, pushes it back down the pitch. Warne waits for the ball to catch up with him, picks it up with, I think, a certain amount of disgust. I think he's rather irritated, Warne. He now shows the ball to umpire Kurtzson at the far end. And from the treatment it's received from Flintoff, I think it must be fairly damaged. We got a bumblebee or a horsefly there in front of Bill.
It's just a very ordinary peasant fly.
Ordinary peasant fly, is it? Not even a horsefly. Oh dear. It's buzzed off into the back of the... Oh no, it's come back in. Here it is. And Warne is in, bowls, and Flintoff sweeps. And that is going to be fielded there at deep backward square leg by Lee, and there is just the single. They take the single. So
50 partnership.
The 50 partnership has come up, and 50 partnership off the last wicket. This could be the decisive runs easily of the match.
40 balls.
450 runs off 40 balls.
In 34 minutes.
Thank you, Bill. And Jones has got 12, Flintoff 34 of them, and 4 of them have been extras. And Jones now has got 2 or 3 balls to survive. 2 to survive. And Warne is going over the wicket to bowl to him. So we've got a slip, a silly point, and a forward short leg. They go down, and here comes Warne, pacing his way gradually up to the wicket. He's there now, he bowls. Jones goes forward, yells of catch it. The ball just bobbled a little bit, but fell well before Ponting could get anywhere near it. And 1 more ball to survive, and then the onslaught, Flintoff against Lee, or whoever it is, will continue from this end. And Warne waiting. Tactics that, trying to sort of frustrate Jones a little bit, waiting for a long time, polishing the ball. And now here he comes again. The 6 walking strides into a trot, overcomes his arm. Jones is forward, Ponting fields, it's the end of the over. So Flintoff can have another go. It's 181 for 9. 12 to Jones, who's playing a splendid innings for England. 72 to Flintoff, who's also playing a splendid innings for England.
Well, he's going to persist with Brett Lee. It's probably his only option. If Kasparovich has always been hammered out the attack. Poor old Dizzy comes out. Dizzy'd be worth 36, I think. So he's really got no option already. Australia are going to have to go into uncharted territories here in the fourth innings, aren't they? If they're going to win this game.
Well, I don't think this many. 281 has never been made.
277 is the highest in the fourth innings here, and to win, lose or draw. So.
The highest to win is England's 211 for 3 against New Zealand in 1999. That was when Tudor was 98 not out, wasn't it?
99 not out.
99 not out.
Should have been allowed to get his 100
And
by
Thorpe was with him, wasn't he? And yes, that was a miscalculation on Thorpe's part. The weather's much better. There's sunshine, there's blue sky, and the old dirigible over there is glowing in the sunshine. Light blue with its white fins. Lee is waiting to bowl to Flintoff. Everyone is scattered round the boundary, all the fielders. And here is Lee, and Flintoff swings at this, and he's started down the pitch, so he's going to try and take a run. He went to Langer at deep square leg, and in the end, he got halfway down the wicket. He remembered himself and went back into his own crease. So he still has the bowling. It's 181 for 9. The crowd in the old Raybank stand, the Eric Holly stand, chanting and singing and standing on their feet, clapping, having the time of their lives. And I think anyone who's been here for the last 3 days will probably think that he'll never see, or she will never see a better cricket match. Lee it is, into Flintoff. He's up the wicket. Flintoff makes room, swings, misses, and through to Gilchrist it goes. Gilchrist entirely on his own. All the other 10 of the Australians are back on the boundary. It's an extraordinary field, and Flintoff is quite happy to take it on and attempt to knock it over all their heads.
I'm not sure that there's a lot of thought going into the bowling here, though. You know, if this was the last over of a limited overs match, I don't think he'd be bowling like this. I think he'd be trying to get it into the block hole. He'd be maybe trying slow balls. He'd be trying all sorts of things to disrupt this. What he's doing is just bowling a length at Freddie, who's very happy with that.
Here he is again, Lee. He's in. He bows to Flintoff. Flintoff swings at this one. It goes down there to fine leg. Gillespie's the fielder, and they don't take a run. So 181 for 9 is still the score. Yes, it's sort of as though they've lost their bearings, isn't it, the Australians?
Well, it's, you know, he's played enough cricket, hasn't he, Brett Lee, to know what he ought to be doing in this sort of circumstance. Just because he's wearing whites and not the green and gold is doesn't make the principles don't hold good.
Well, that's quite right. And Lee again, he's waiting for Flintoff. You know, he's ready, and here comes Lee prancing up to the wicket. He's there now. He bowls, and Flintoff smashes that one off the back foot. And it's fielded out there deep at cover, and they go for the single. That's 182 for 9, 73 now to Flintoff.
England had an amazing last wicket partnership here 4 years ago when Alex Stewart and Andrew Caddick put on 103, which is still the highest 10th wicket Ashes partnership in England by England.
That was the match they won, of course, wasn't it?
England lost one innings. Yes.
Oh no, I was not thinking of the one before that. Yeah.
We've just heard Jim Maxwell, a paler shade of white, with that news from behind me.
The all-time England record against Australia is 130 by Tip Foster and Wilfred Rhodes at Sydney in 1903-04.
That was when Foster got 287, didn't he?
He did.
And remember it well. Here comes Lee now, round the wicket to Jones, 2 slips in the gully. He's up there now, he bows to Jones. Jones goes for that one, which is well up outside the off stump, missed it. And Flintoff now comes down the wicket to deliver another stern lecture to his partner, and also to do a bit of gardening. I don't know if the lecture was particularly stern, actually, but in the last over when Lee's last over when Jones wafted outside the off stump, Flintoff went down and spoke very severely to him.
He's probably saying, look, there's a lot of people in here having a bit of fun, let's carry on giving it to them.
Absolutely right.
Don't want to end this at the moment, do we? Not enjoying this?
And the lead,
do you want to get out?
300's only just round the corner. And here's Brett Lee now, coming in to bowl to Jones. He's up to the wicket now, he bowls, Jones comes forward, drives it down to Kasparovich, standing there, or going to his right, at a deepish mid-off. It's the end of the over, 182 for 9, 12 to Jones, no praise can be too high for him, 73 to Flintoff, and he likewise is doing a fantastic job.
I think England now, they'll be thinking, like, come on, we just really need just one more big over from Fred. One more 20, and suddenly it's it's up in the realms, isn't it? Then
Yes.
You really are putting the pressure on. I mean, this is the innings that could be taking the game away from Australia when it looked as if it might just be heading their way earlier on.
Well,
the game needed that, didn't it? It needed a definitive innings. Nobody has really played it thus far. I think the nearest that it came to was perhaps Justin Langer yesterday, who was on his way to 100. He was going to play a big 100. You can see with everybody playing around him.
Yes. And of course the high score in the match so far is Trescothick's 90 on the first day. Well, Warne inevitably is going to continue to a very deep set field, except for a slip. And he's bowling now to Flintoff. He's in, he bowls, Flintoff's down the wicket, he's bowled, and that's the end of it. Flintoff came down the wicket, tried to swing Warne out of the ground at mid-wicket, missed, and his leg stump's on the ground, the middle stump's almost on the ground, and England all out for 182. Flintoff bowled Warne for 73, and England's lead 281. Australia's target 282. And the members in front of us already standing to clap Flintoff and Jones off the field. Flintoff, with that pulled muscle in his left shoulder, raises his bat, takes off his helmet, and he and Jones together have done a wonderful job. They put on 51 for the last wicket, and Jones goes in trailing behind Flintoff. The Australians come off, well, they'll be a little bit saddened, they'll be worried, they'll be irritated, their morale will be a bit down after that last wicket stand.
Well, there is nothing more demoralising for the side that thinks they've done damage. Shane Warne going off 6 further. That'll be his last bowling in a test match at Edgbaston, and a great way to finish for him. 6 wickets, leaves him perched on 599, so you can anticipate the 600 coming in the next test at Old Trafford.
Well, that's extraordinary, isn't it? He's got 6 wickets in this innings, 599 test wickets, which in itself is a simply staggering performance. Well, the pitch is now being brushed, and we're going to see Australia set out on what should be, what I think is certain to be, a fairly long road for victory. 282 is their target, which is more than any side has ever scored in the 4th innings of a test match here.
They, of course, will be very positive. They'll say, we can chase anything down. We're capable of doing that. We've done it before. We can do it again here. I'm not sure they'll have done so against an attack on a pitch like this that England must have. The one key thing that concerns me a little bit is whether Andrew Flintoff's going to be able to bowl, because I think he might just be a key figure in this. We'll see after tea, because they're going to take tea now, so it's a little time to mull it over. Anyway, 20 minutes for them to mull it over.
And indeed, and I think England are going to enjoy their tea, their cuppers, probably rather more than the Australians. Where did Australia get it wrong? Their bowling.
Andrew Flintoff took it away from them, didn't he? He played, I think he played 50% more better in this second innings than he did in the first. In the first, it was seat of the pants stuff a bit. This wasn't. This was controlled until the very end. The hitting there was he was going for the city centre there, wasn't he? But that was just calculated hitting. He had a worthy partner in the end. There was Simon Jones, who we know is no mean bat. He's not too flash when it's a bit quick and short at him, but we've seen he hits through the line well. He's a competent stroke player, and he hung around nicely. There were overtones of Dillian Botham in that, weren't there? The left-handed seam bowler and the all-rounder.
And that, of course, was Old Trafford in 1980, Headingley in 1981.
Absolutely. They bowled poorly there. Of course, Shane Warne at one end is brilliant, but somewhere he had to find somebody who could do the job for him at the end there to finish it off in the manner that Andrew Flintoff himself finished the Australian innings with those reverse swung Yorkers. It should have been Brett Lee. He bowled badly at the end, brilliantly this morning, badly at the end. Michael Kasparovich looked frankly hopeless there at the end of the inning, and Jason Gillespie he daren't risk.
Well, that was right. I mean, the Yorker and the block hole they simply couldn't find.
No.
And they should have remembered, because it was Flintoff, who was obviously batting then, who had produced those two brilliant Yorkers yesterday that dismissed Gillespie and Kasparovich, LBW, in successive balls. But 282, I think the one thing England have got to be careful about is that they don't allow Australia to get off a really cracking start. I mean, Hayden is the sort of chap, if you start bowling a bit wide and a bit short, they can have 50 on the board in half a dozen overs, and then Australia will be feeling much better.
Yes, I think fitness being the key here. If they're all fit, I think I might even give the new ball to Andy Flintoff with Steve Harmison, because I know Matthew Hogarth needs the ball to swing, he needs the new ball to swing it, but he can also get somebody off to a flyer if he doesn't quite get it on target or it doesn't swing.
Do you think Flintoff's shoulder will...
Well, this is what we'll see, won't we? I mean, it seemed that the injection that he had in it was a pain-killing injection. We don't know how bad, whether he's just torn a fibre between some fibres, or whether it's it can't be very serious, otherwise you wouldn't be batting out there like that.
Right.
And the painkilling might have just freed it up, Franklin injection, in which case he'll be able to bowl okay. In those circumstances, I think I might like him to come in charging in 90 mile an hour with the new ball. He's on a high anyway. This is the circumstances where Mike Brearley would have given the new ball to Beefy. He probably would have given it to him anyway. But you'd make sure that he got the ball in his hand. He'd want the ball in his hand. And I bet if you said to Andy Flint, "You're all right to have a little go with the new ball, Fred," you wouldn't get it out of his hands.
Oh, well, absolutely. And of course, and when it's going for you,
well, that's really catch him while he's hot, eh?
Absolutely. Well, we have seen a sensational day's cricket today. England 25 for 1 at the start. They collapsed this morning, but they fought back. A last wicket partnership of 51 by Simon Jones and Freddie Flintoff has taken England to 182 all out. Flintoff being the last man out, bowled Warne, his 599th Test wicket. He was out for 73, and so England 182 all out. And after tea, in a few minutes, Australia will be coming in to start their struggle. Now, it will be a struggle to get 282 to win.